What's up, everybody? I'm Matt.
And I'm Beth.
And today we're going to be reviewing the interior in the 2024 Lexus TX. So the TX is this brand new three-row crossover from Lexus. They finally have something that's huge, that's, not truck-based, but actually has great space for families, something that Lexus dealers and Lexus buyers have been wanting for a long time, and it's finally here. It's based on the fantastic Toyota Grand Highlander that also is new here for the 2024 model year, but with Lexus here, there's a lot of really nice enhancements to it and a completely unique interior design. And one important distinction between this and the Grand Highlander is that this only seats either 6 or 7 people. Grand Highlander is 7 or 8 because there's a 3-seat bench for the third row. In the Grand Highlander, this is only a 2-seat bench there. So you do lose out on 1 seat here potentially in this. But, I really love the interior design though up front here. It's the typical Lexus language we're used to that we've seen in other Lexus products in many ways. But, just fantastic tech, one of the biggest screens in the segment. And just really nice and plush feeling too.
Yeah, they have a lot of nice material. I see almost zero piano black plastic, which is so great, but everything is nice and plush and cushy, like even in the front here on the dash. Definitely that Lexus feel.
Yeah, which is exactly what you want. The price premium for this is between like $6,000 to $8,000 over a Grand Highlander, but you certainly feel like it's more premium. I mean, the seats are even like smoother leather than when you get in the Toyota, and more padding for sure and everything. It is so nice. I love the way this feels in here. But anyway, first thing, sitting down in these seats, in addition to the fact they're nice and soft, they're really nicely perforated. There's a few different interior colors you can get here as well, so you can have a little bit of color in your TX interior if you'd like. And they're heated and ventilated seats here in this mid-grade trim, but I mean, really nice and just comfortable seats. I've loved driving around in these seats all week.
And the passenger gets all of the controls that the driver does. It's all power control. You do get your lumbar support.
And then the steering wheel is also really nice. It's heated and has a great 9-3 grip and little paddle shifters here, which is fun. Now, the one interesting thing about the Lexus steering wheels these days is that they are heavily based on a head-up display. Now, you don't have to get a head-up display in the TX if you don't want, but most trims are going to come with it, and so these little controller arrow things here are going to control what you see on the head-up display, not what you see in the gauge cluster most of the time. And it takes a little getting used to, and I don't love head-up displays all the time, but one great thing about this one is it actually does work with polarized sunglasses pretty well, so I can still wear my polarized sunglasses and still see what I'm doing, because that's the only way you can see when you're turning on the cruise control and things like that. So it's a new thing. It's going to take a little bit of a learning curve. I would prefer just the traditional setup that we're used to for in everything else. You also do still have a fully digital gauge cluster. It's a 12-inch gauge cluster here and looks great. Just really high resolution. I love how you can have a little map in the middle there. And it is customizable. There's a few different views. You can have a huge map view if you want. You can customize the information within each of those pods and have as much or as little complications as you want there. And just really well done. And I like the unique skin you have here for the Lexus version, because it is the same cluster you get in the Toyota, but in this it's just a little classier looking too, which I appreciate with the Lexus fonts and all that. Then coming over to the center of the dashboard, you have this big 14-inch touchscreen, which is one of the nice improvements over the Grand Highlander and all the other competitors to the TX as well, with this having, I believe, the biggest screen in its segment. And I love the way they've done this infotainment system and the whole screen in general. I mean, it's a nice size, of course, but I love having still physical climate control knobs here to quickly change the temperature. I love how this bottom row is always present and always gives you access to those climate things regardless of what you're doing on the top half of the screen.
And the best thing is the volume knob is in the middle of the screen, which is so great. We love having the volume knob.
Equal opportunity to change volume.
Yeah, and it is just ever so slightly tilted towards the driver, the whole console in general, but I don't think it's too terribly hard to use as a passenger, so that's still great.
Yeah, and so it has wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. That all works flawlessly. Nice big icons for that too. So it's going to show all your stuff there really nice and clearly. And then all the other basic built-in stuff. If you want to just use like satellite radio or some of the other car-based functions, it's really easy to sift through all that. You also have this little handy pop-up that'll show you your frequently used functions. So if you always are putting it into sport mode, you can hit that and go into that really quickly. Whatever you want to do. And so I really love this system. It debuted in the NX MDX a couple of years ago, and I've used it in many Lexus products, but the more I use it, the more that I really fall in love with it. It's not overly complicated like some of the other competitors, and some of the competitors like the MDX still use a controller pad. The touchscreen is so much easier. This is hands down, I think, my favorite infotainment experience out of all the competitors that this is competing with as well. It's just so well done. And another really nice thing is that it is hooked up to a fantastic stereo. Even as standard, you get a 12-speaker stereo system, which is a nice upgrade over like the 6-speaker bass stereo in a Grand Highlander. But this one has the optional Mark Levinson 21-speaker surround sound stereo that is really clear and crisp and just sounds fantastic. And Mark Levinson stereos are always really, really well done, and this one is just going to give you a top-notch audio experience here in the TX as well. And then coming down to the other, storage spaces, they also had some really creative, thoughtful approaches to storage space here in the TX that I'm really appreciating as well. You have nice pockets in the doors here with a big bottle holder, and then in the middle here, it's really kind of cool. I love, the padding down by your knees and all that. But first off, you have a wireless charging pad here, and it's all nicely rubberized, so it holds your phone in decently well. It's still not, amazing. Most of these wireless charging pads aren't the best, but pretty good. And you would think, wow, well, there's not too much storage if you just see that. You don't actually, bother playing with it. But if you push it back, you will see a deeper cubby there, which has a traditional power outlet and a good amount of space in there. It's even got a little bit of like felt lining on the bottom of it, and a really nice little, hideaway space, and some extra, storage is just nice to have. And another cool thing is that you have removable cup holders here. So, they are normal cup holders whenever you need them, but if you don't need them, you can pop these out and have another bigger storage space if you want to, stand up a tablet or whatever you want to do in there. It just, I don't know how many people are going to want to remove their cup holders, but you have the option. I love giving people the option to do whatever they want to do, and that adjustability is great. And the one thing that you miss out on compared to the Grand Highlander is the Grand Highlander has a passenger side cubby that's nice and big, has its own USB-C charger. You don't get that in this, so they decided not to go for that and go for a more traditional dashboard here, which, is fine, because I think, again, with all the other bonus spaces here, it's totally good. And another unique thing here to the Lexus is that you also have this center armrest that splits in the middle, and the Toyota is just a normal flip-up lid, so this is great if, your passenger has their arm on the armrest there. You can still get into this and, access it without upsetting anybody. And so it's, just really nice. It's a nice deep cubby. It's all felt lined as well. And so, I'd say, storage space is really good here in the TX. And, I think compared to some of the others out there in this segment, I think, again, this is one of the best ones in that regard as well. Moving on to the back seat here in the TX, it's really well done too. Now this one is the bench seat across. You can get captain's chairs, and the captain's chairs give you the option for heating and cooling for that second row as well. Now, but they do have their own climate control back there, which is great, with the ceiling mounted vents, which is also, handy. And, it's a good amount of space back there as well. Of course, being this giant three-row thing, like I said, the most space in this class really, so no complaints as far as legroom, headroom, anything like that. You also have a fold down center armrest with 2 cup holders built into it and pockets in those doors as well. They also have their own USB-C jacks there in the middle of that bin, and a great view to look out of here with this giant panoramic roof, which is a really nice touch as well. Then moving on to the third row here in the TX, it is a really nice third row. It's really impressive how much space they've given with this vehicle. It's going to be plenty of space for almost everybody. I'm 5'9", me sitting behind myself. I can actually have that second row still slid all the way back as far as it'll go, and I still have about an inch of legroom to spare. And that seat also reclines in the third row, so if you recline a little bit more, you can actually give yourself like a little bit more space there. And so it's just very flexible with that, but it's so comfortable for, a third row. Usually they're penalty boxes, but not in this, and if the second row occupants are willing to give up a little bit of legroom, then you could fit someone that's over 6 foot tall in that third row, which is just really unheard of in most three-row vehicles outside of the huge truck-based things like the Escalades and the Grand Wagoneers and stuff. This is, for a mid-sized thing like this, it's going to be more space than most of the others. And I also really love to get into that third row. There's a little button, and that does sling it forward a little bit. It's not quite as quick as the one in the MDX, but I like that you have a button there because it's just a regular lever in the Grand Highlander. So that is one nice little upgrade here to have the power adjustment there for that second row too. They also have their own cup holders and all that back there. A nice big rear window back there for them too, so they have a great view out. And just a really, really well done third row. And I think that is going to be bottom line the thing that sells this over everything else, in addition to the fact that it's priced really well, this one being just over $63,000. It's a lot of car for the money, especially in the luxury segment. But that third row, people are going to hop back there, their mind's going to be blown, and it'll be end of story there. That's going to be all you need to go for one of these, I think, in addition to just everything else being so nice in here. And cargo space also isn't compromised, so you still have over 20 cubic feet of cargo space back there, and it's a nice wide space. You know, it's still pretty long. You don't have any real storage under the floor there, but you do have a spare tire, which I know many people appreciate still having that. And you also have a power folding third row here. That's something that you don't get in the Toyota either. And so that's a nice feature. It's a little slower, so it's honestly faster to use the manual one in the Toyota, but for the luxury thing of not having to lift a finger, you just press a button there and you don't have to do any kind of muscling around with the third row. So yeah, I mean, overall, I think this is just, like I said, for 63 grand, the way this one is tested out, you can get some of these that are into the 70s and the 80s. They have faster versions, hybrid versions, plug-in hybrid versions. There's a lot of flexibility here, but here in this base version, you have plenty of power. I cover that more in my driving review as well, but it's a really nice thing to live with and a very nice interior.
Yeah, it's really nice, and it's definitely got a bang for your buck.
Yeah, so honestly, it's my favorite in this segment, I think, currently, for the money, and just, it's gonna be the one that I'll be recommending to anyone that asks in the future. This is gonna be my go-to luxury three-row crossover. It's just so nice. But definitely check out that driving review for sure for all the details here on the TX and how it drives. But anyway, that's all of our thoughts on the interior. Let us know your thoughts on it in the comments below. Huge thanks to Lexus for providing us here with this TX to review for you guys. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.